kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep end of the pool, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
When the live fire like that?
Yeah, we're gonna be like, so Trebles, which one you want to hear?
Okay, my bad. I ain't gonna interrupt no more. Sorry, Trebles, you got it.
Let's make deposits into the bank of knowledge. Welcome back to the Trebles Show, formerly known as Paranoi Radio Podcast. I am your humble host, Trebles Garcia. It sounds very narcissistic to have to say my name twice in the beginning. I don't give a crap. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing that you can do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at the Trebles Show. And on the link tree, and also on Instagram, and now we are on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. I gotta say it one more time. Like, share, and subscribe. It's a beautiful Saturday night. It's the 1st of November. It's the 1st of the month. I don't know the rest of the song. It's an amazing song and an amazing time to be alive with an amazing set of special guests today. I am very, very, very humbled and honored and lucky to have these guys back to back in the same year, because they are on demand, and their time they'll make you wait about a year and a half to just come on your show and blow it up in info dump. Now let's jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the freaking mood. Please give a warm welcome to my next special guests in plural. They've been here before. They've demolished it, guys. These guys are amazing. To be honest with you, bro, I don't think anybody else out here is keeping up with their stuff. Please give a warm welcome to Christopher Dean and Jason Spears from the Operation Red Pill.
How's it going, Trebles?
What's up, man?
Hey, Trebles, man, thanks for having us, man.
No, thank you, bro, for making time away from your families and just coming back and, doing the do, baby.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no worries. I think this is the first time we've showed up on somebody else's show for the third time. Because we did the Satanic Control Matrix breakdown, and then we did Bloodlines Part 1. And now we're coming back for Bloodlines Part 2. You are the first show that we've showed up on 3 times. That's not bad. You
know what, bro? It is amazing. We're breaking records. I like it. And thank you for oh my God, I feel special. You know who's really special? The people listening to you guys on our show are the ones receiving, the good end of the show. And then obviously we're praising Jesus and we're bringing some amazing content for everybody. Where can people find you, bro? Where can people find the rest of your work?
You can find us at our main site at orppodcast.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, / ORP podcast. Keep it pretty simple. You can find our merch at orppodcast.shop. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, at ORP podcast. So
also on the description of the show, if you guys don't want to go to the freaking search bar and you're watching ass on TikTok and you're lazy as hell and don't want to take the 5 seconds of your day to actually go to the search bar, you can find it in the description of the show. On the show notes, description of the show, guys, do not miss out. Operation Red Pill. All right,
I got one more.
Here.
Hold on one second. I got one more shameless plug. So this is the second time we've done our Bloodlines of the Illuminati series, which we based off of the book by Fritz Springmeier. You can also find us at patreon.com/ORP podcast. And there we have a collection of all of the Bloodlines episodes that we did. I think there's 14, maybe 15. And the Holy Merovingian one is only available behind that paywall. So convenient that they're all there, and you get an extra bonus episode if you join our Patreon over there at patreon.com/ORP podcast.
What are the tiers? Let them know. What the heck?
Our basic tier, $10 a month, gets you all of our links and resources. You get the notes that we actually look at when we record an episode. It gets you access to a Zoom call that we do once a month.
I love it.
And then we have producer tiers if you want to give more. That gives you increased discount at our merch store and some exclusive merch that you can only get if you are a producer of Operation Red Pill. And those are $25, $50, and $100 a month.
People spend $10 overnight on a retarded ass costume for Halloween, on makeup that you don't need, on a case for your freaking phone, on Starbucks for a small drink filled with sugar and stuff that kills you and gives you cancer. Mickey D's for stuff that gives cancer to your kids, and et cetera, and et cetera. Guys, you could spend $10 on amazing content that then you could teach your kids with, and also other family members and colleagues and coworkers and all that great stuff. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know if you guys know, but you guys are the second episode of the Trebles Show. And starting off with kicking ass. You guys were also the first episode of season 8, the last season for Paranoi Radio. So you guys, I'm telling you, man, I'm actually very, very lucky to have you guys 2 eyes in the year. Janet, shout outs to my pod mom, Janet from the Plural Nation, told me that she had to wait another 6 months. And I'm not laughing with her, I'm laughing at you, Janet.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, I'm happy that you guys are here today, man. Thank you so much, man. Do not forget to check them out, guys. Drop a 5-star review up a podcast on the Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. All right, let's kick it. Let's go. Bloodlines 2. Can you start off, please, with naming the bloodlines? We're gonna do about 3 or 4 today, and then we're gonna start kicking some ass.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely could do that. And then it might help if we can explain a little bit more where the bloodlines fit into this overarching system, because it's not just a tangential experience. It's not just about the satanic royal bloodlines, which, kind of sexy people get a little excited about. It fits within a much larger contextual framework that is important, because without it, then it just becomes something that's ethereal. It's just floating out there. Maybe people remember the 13, maybe they won't, but it's part of a much bigger play, something we call the satanic control matrix, which is super, super important. For those people who are maybe, I don't know what they've been doing, but maybe they're just joining your show. They didn't hear the first 2 that we did, so maybe they're not up on exactly what the satanic control matrix is. For those people that are just joining, that system is really one of the most diabolical systems. And I mean this, really one of the most diabolical systems of manipulation and control that's ever been devised in the history of mankind, bar none. I mean, I'm talking something that's highly sophisticated, extremely adaptable, well coordinated, and it's an effort to systematically target every aspect of human society in order to generate maximum control over humanity. And this is really being done by a select group of people, including some of these bloodline families that we're going to talk about here today. And what they're doing is they're really trying to exert maximum control over humanity by focusing their efforts into achieving just 3 simple goals. All right. And this is huge. Number 1, figure out how to control individuals. Super important. Number 2, figure out how to control whole societies. And then number 3, figure out how to take those first 2 objectives and combine them into a global system of control that allows you to manage the entire planet. Those 3 goals fundamentally form the structure of the satanic control matrix. And so, when it comes to controlling individuals, what we're seeing is that social engineers want to use the education system because of its inherent design. And that design allows them to achieve 3 specific goals. 1, it allows them to reduce our intelligence. Number 2, it allows them to eliminate our individuality. And with that, our God-given sense of creativity. And then thirdly, it allows them to re-engineer society at a granular level, starting first with the influence of the parent on the child and replacing the parent's influence with that of the state.
Right.
Like, all of this is super critical, and this is how you start to control individuals. When it comes to controlling whole societies, what we're noticing is that the social controllers want to use something that we call the net industrial complex. And what that is it's a collection of specific industries like news and entertainment, as well as more core industries like agriculture, pharmaceuticals, textiles, biochemical engineering, telecommunications, military defense. These are being used in conjunction with emerging technologies such as genetics, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, even social media, so that collectively they're being used to exploit the way that we're built and the very way that we think in order to weaponize both our physiology and our psychology against us, which ultimately results in us being put under a very sophisticated form of mind control. And the thing that really started to blow Christopher and I our minds is the fact that when we started to look at those types of mind control techniques that were being implemented on a large scale fashion, we started finding that they were either sourced from or directed towards satanic ends, which means you really could call this satanic mind control of the population. And we're noticing that this is what's being put in place to really control whole societies. And that helps fulfill the second objective of the satanic control matrix. Then you move into the third and final one, which is how do you control the entire planet? And what we're noticing there is that the political elites, who oftentimes are members of various secret societies, whether that's the geopolitical orders, the collegiate orders, or even the esoteric orders. And we can come back and talk about that because that's a whole fascinating subject in and of itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they all seem hell-bent on creating an interlocking system of global governance, which many of them refer to as the New World Order. And this New World Order is built off of three pillars: geopolitics, global finance, and universal religion. And it's fundamentally being used to create the platform by which the replacement Christ is going to rule from in fulfillment of Revelation 13. So in order to build that out, they're using these conduits of evil that represent satanic royal bloodlines. These bloodlines build out this whole agenda that we were just talking about through these power centers of culture. There's about 13 different power centers that they make use of. But the bloodlines themselves are let's see what's the right word. They are involved in various aspects of build out throughout this whole satanic control matrix. And you asked earlier for like the 13 names of what they are. You've got the Astors, the Bundys, the Collins, the DuPonts. You've got the Freemans, the Kennedys, the Lees, the Onassis, Rockefellers, super popular here in the United States, the Rothschilds, the Russells, the Van Dynes, and the Holy Merovingians. But what's wild is not only do you have those 13, and Christopher can speak to the fact of why those 13 exist and how that plays into the biblical record, because it's got phenomenal biblical implications. But these 13 bloodlines all seem to have distinct jobs within the satanic control matrix. For instance, the Astors show up as the aristocrats. Okay, you've got the Bundys, who oftentimes are in positions of advisory roles. Then you have the Collins. They are basically black magic handlers. Stuff goes back to like Salem and other areas. You have the DuPonts that function as the alchemist. You have the Freemans. They're like the architects. And then there's the Kennedys, and they seem to play this weird role of royal fodder within the system. They're used when they need to be in order to not only promote the agenda of the system, but sometimes to fulfill sacrificial needs. Like it's weird. Okay. Then you got the Lees, and they form the muscle. Kind of think of your triads. You've also got the Onassis. They represent the masters of transportation. Then you got the Rockefellers. They're basically the industrialist of the system. Then there's the Rothschilds. They represent the banker boys. Then you have the Russells. Now, the Russells are strange. They're a little wild card. They basically fill in. They're like your pinch hitters. Then you got the Van Dynes. They basically play a shell game to keep people guessing as to where this satanic control matrix is showing up in culture and in society. Then there's this secret order called the Holy Merovingian. And they focus on the golden chalice, this bloodline to produce the replacement Christ. And they claim divinity and they claim ancestry all the way back to Jesus himself. So it's a wild ride of these 13 bloodlines.
Yeah.
What you broke down was a complete cellular surrender. Complete, utter cellular surrender. As if there was no way out. But awareness equals conviction, bro. We need to start creating life instead of living in this consumption consciousness. I love the way you introduced that. Go ahead. It's your platform. Take it over, bro.
Well,
Christopher,
last time we did the Holy Merovingians and we did the Collins because you wanted us to cover those. So Jason and I were talking a couple days ago in preparation to the show, and we couldn't decide between the Rockefellers and the DuPonts. So which one do you want to hear? Because
I'm gonna be honest with you. The Rockefellers, I get it. No, I think everything is equally important. But if we're gonna dissect DuPonts, I've never heard of them, bro. And I've been in the conspiracy game for a while. Break it down. Let's go.
You've never heard of them? Okay. This stuff is crazy. So like Jason was talking about, the DuPonts are the alchemist. So primarily through their public company. So you can look at DuPont. Look them up online. They have major facilities all over the United States and really all over the world. I was shocked after we did the research for the episode. Like I ride a motorcycle a lot. So I got my chain lube out sprayed it all over the motorcycle, turned the
I
can
am
over.
so glad you put chain in front of that adjective. Boy, I was scared.
Well, be scared because just be scared. That's all you need to know. But yeah, I couldn't believe like how many places this name DuPont showed up. And it goes under the radar unless you know who they are. But
Right? Because I was saying, like, when we first started studying it, I didn't know who DuPont was, except for the fact that they had a NASCAR team. Right? Like Jeff Gordon,
okay. Yeah.
who was like one of the winningest NASCAR racers, he was sponsored by DuPont. So I remember number 24 Chevy,
DuPont.
the big DuPont on the front of it. That's all I knew. That was it.
Yeah.
Had no idea what we're about to get into
Automotive,
today.
healthcare solutions, water purification solutions. Look at that, bro.
Oh,
they
they
are
have their
everywhere.
Yeah. So much stuff.
Aerospace, printing and packing,
Yeah.
sustainable and productive construction. That is straight from the website. Holy
Right.
snap.
So they've actually created, the reason that we dub them alchemist is because they have created a bunch of synthetic or unnatural products that are almost in everyone's house, right? So we're talking Freon, using AC units, cellophane, which is a bioplastic material used for covering food and stuff, neoprene, synthetic rubber used in the production of wetsuits, laptop sleeves, things like that, nylon, rayon, Kevlar. They came up with all of this stuff. And then Teflon. Have you heard of Teflon?
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst one. It's used in nonstick cookware, major source of PFAS and PFOS, which are forever
It's
chemicals.
on everything you cook with.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's on everything restaurants cook with. So
Yeah.
no matter where you get your food from, you're still getting Tefloned up.
Uh-huh. It never breaks down and it is absorbed right into the body. And it leads to cancers and all types of health issues. It is crazy. In
But what's
fact,
even more wild than the fact that that stuff never breaks down? Because you would think like, oh, okay, well, we found that out long term, right? After maybe 30, 40, 50 years of investigation. Hey, you still got trace elements of Teflon in your blood. Mm-mm. DuPont knew about that prior to them releasing it to market.
Mhm.
They knew it wouldn't break down, and they still released it.
Yep.
And
They-
they're still went under the
they-
radar.
We-
What committee is making sure that these things are getting checked? Where's the check and balance? Where's the check and balance?
Well, we there's a lot to get into, but one of the things that we rely on the FD, it's the FDA, right, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
For the Toxic Chemicals Act.
No, I think it's EPA.
Let me find out who controls the
EPA?
FDA and who funds it, and I would watch it be one of his other 13 family members. I'm telling you, bro, it's all a chain reaction, man. They
You're
all
talking
keep each
about
other
the, well, hold
non-accountable.
on. You're talking about the Toxic Substance Act
Yeah,
that was
like
passed by
1970.
Congress?
Yeah.
I think that was a congressional act.
Oh, just a
Nope.
congressional act? Okay.
Mhm.
My mistake. So they passed this, which is supposed to regulate like all of the chemicals and stuff that end up in consumer products. So they passed it, I believe it was 1970. So way after DuPont already has all of this stuff. Because right after World War II, they just start putting it everywhere. But the problem with it is that they grandfathered in 62,000 chemicals. They went to all of these companies, and because it takes a lot of effort and a lot of money, at least this is what they tell us, and a lot of resources to check all of these chemicals, they just went to the companies and they said, hey, are these chemicals that you're using safe? And the companies were like, yes, I'm sure they're safe. Government's like, cool, no problem. Stamp of approval. 62,000 chemicals were grandfathered in and never checked to see if they were toxic or not. And Teflon,
Here's the crazy thing, because this is the Toxic Substances Control Act of 1976. It's not just the fact that these chemicals were grandfathered in. What wasn't checked was not only their own safety, but how safe are they when mixed with other chemicals? All right, because this stuff will exist in our house, right? You might spray a little thing here and then wipe it off with another thing there. Was that checked? Well, they're both say safe, so obviously there should be no issue. Now there could be major issues that are going on with that. So there was like a ton of chemicals that were just stamped, hey, we're good. And it hasn't been checked since, as far as I understand.
right.
I recently did an episode, sorry if I interrupted, where
That's
they're
cool.
doing the same thing with pharmaceutical for your babies.
Exactly. This is the thing with vaccines, right?
Yeah,
When you're looking
they
at
put 2 in
efficacy.
1, 3 in 1. Oh yeah, it's just gonna be one shot, and then 3 stamps for 3 different types of drugs in one cocktail, and then your baby's twitching, and then you have autism. It's nuts, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So this stuff is so toxic, and DuPont and 3M, they worked together to produce it, and 3M did a bunch of tests too, and they were like, look, whatever you do, you can't dispose of this. Like, don't dump it in the ground. Don't. And DuPont was like, okay, we'll do that anyway. So in Parkersburg, West Virginia, they started dumping all of the Teflon waste just into the ground. There was a guy, Jim Tennant, he started getting sick. So while dude is dying of cancer in the hospital, they show up and they're like, so buddy, we'll buy those 66 acres that you have, you know, where your cows are dying and stuff. We'll take that off your hands for you, bud. So they buy that. And then his brother, Wilbur Tennant, all of his cows end up getting sick. So he contacts an old family friend who was a lawyer, Bill Bellot. And for anyone that wants to know more about this, there is a movie with Mark Ruffalo, despite what you think of, may or may not think about Ruffalo. It is a great movie. It's called Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo. And it is an excellent depiction of this whole scenario.
Yeah.
And it was even fact checked by a couple like third party institutions. And other than like a couple swear words and some specific quotes, everything that happens in that movie is accurate to the real events. It's crazy. And we
A tenacious attorney uncovers a dark secret of connects and growing number of unexplained deaths for one of the largest corporations. Oh, snap, bro. Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah. It's terrible. Because what would happen, like back in the day, you have to understand, like these companies would show up and like DuPont built Parkersburg, West Virginia. They show up and they're like, hey, we can employ all of these people. So they build the town, right? They build the church, like everything like in the bottom corner says, you know, made by DuPont. So you don't want to go up against your bread and butter, and not just your bread and butter, you and your entire neighborhood. Like if DuPont goes down, the whole church goes down. So a bunch of people were like, well, I mean, it may or may not be happening. I don't know. I'd rather be ignorant.
It's what Disney did in Florida and what the weatherman and CIA did in Kent State, Ohio. They buy out sections of cities that need rebuilding, that need people that are in poverty and need jobs, and then they present you with a solution. You're part of their own cycle now. You're part of their hamster wheel. Right. It's nuts, man.
Yeah. So this stuff's so toxic. They put it in the ground. Everything is dying of cancer, major tumors. Like if a flock of birds would fly over the smokestacks, like they would fall out of the sky dead. Like this is just killing everybody. It was originally designed, so Teflon, PFOA, is originally designed as like a liner for tanks to keep water off of them. And then it was used during the Manhattan Project for the nuclear bomb because it helped with, you know, reduction of corrosion and stuff of the device, things like that. But in 1951, after the Manhattan Project, DuPont started using PFOA and Teflon in everything. So we're talking frying pans, dental floss, microwave popcorn bags, irons, hair straighteners, like parchment paper and cellophane, carpets, sofas, Scotch Guard lunch boxes, pencil cases, gym bags, yoga mats, tents, makeup. It's in your makeup. Like the waterproof lipstick that you use probably has Teflon in it still.
Shut the front door, bro.
Yeah.
I got 2 daughters, covers. Man.
Yeah. Slow cookers. Waterproof clothes. Like if you watch, if you've ever watched Seinfeld, there's an episode where George gets this big coat. He's like, it's Gore-Tex. It's Gore-Tex. And it was this big deal. And Jerry's like, you like saying that, don't you? But Gore-Tex was a company that made clothes. But the reason all of the clothes were waterproof is because all of the clothes were saturated in Teflon. And all of that Teflon would leak out into your body.
You guys gotta start watching this right now because freaking Christopher's camera goes in and out and it zooms in when he's saying things.
I noticed that.
I watched it. I was like, you got a cameraman over there? Are we paying for it? It's like, that's a nice update. I need that.
Right.
Right.
I could
Mine
only
just sitting there
imagine
at attention like, huh? He won't move at all. He's scared. Yours zoomed in dramatically.
That was pretty badass, bro.
Right.
Like, people are gonna be entertained today.
Nice.
I've never seen Gore-Tex have such visual appeal.
Right.
You were like, Gore-Tex. I was like, wow.
That would have been a freaking commercial, man. That was beautiful. I loved it.
That's so funny.
Oh,
That's
now
so
he's
funny.
doing it. Look at him. Now he's doing it.
Oh, snap. Hey, I got it too.
Nice.
What the fuck did you do, bro? I gotta try it
No
now.
idea. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's great. So yeah.
Oh, man.
Decking sealants, children's uniforms, and then Jason, you made a joke about lubricant earlier. Condoms.
Hey, well, I mean, hey,
Or
to get you
lace.
going and coming.
With Teflon. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
But
Kiss.
they
Kiss
knew
did it too.
that all of this was toxic. Not only did 3M tell DuPont that this was happening, DuPont ran their own studies. They laced cigarettes with Teflon and gave them to their employees, and every single one of them ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Crazy. So Bill Bellot, he finds out from Wilbur Tennant what's going on. His cows are dying. So he goes in and he starts. This guy runs a 20-year battle against DuPont in one of the largest class action lawsuits. It was one of the world's, I think, largest epidemiological studies. 70,000 participants from West Virginia and Ohio, because Parkersburg, West Virginia is right on the water. And all of them, 70,000 participants tested. But what's crazy is to get a control group. So you get all these people and they're like, here, test my blood, see if there's Teflon in it and all that. But to really do a proper study, you have to have a control group. Problem is, they couldn't find anybody. Everyone that they tested had Teflon in their system. And they're like, okay, well, let's go to other states. Everyone in other states had Teflon in their system. Okay, cool. We'll go to another country. No problem. Everyone in every other country, every time they tried to find a control group, had Teflon in their system.
Complete cellular surrender.
This stuff doesn't break down. When it comes out in the smokestacks, it gets in the air, it rains down on you. It is everywhere. There's not a single person on the planet today that has not been poisoned by the DuPont company or the DuPont Illuminati bloodline family.
That part.
Yeah. And this poisoning, this poisoning is the direct cause of kidney cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid disease, ulcerative colitis, high cholesterol, pregnancy-induced hypertension, and
Dude,
preeclampsia.
what the freak, man?
These are only the ones that they have been proven. Like, there's a lot of other side effects and things that couldn't be, matter of fact, proven from this single study. All of those, PFOA, Teflon, DuPont was the direct cause of all of those. Crazy. And they knew it. They knew it the whole time.
And they were good with it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I choose DuPont.
Yeah, it was a good choice. But
That
this
was
is only
solid.
one aspect, man. Like, this is dealing more with the alchemical aspect of the DuPont family.
Right.
Okay, they have one of the things that makes the DuPont bloodline so interesting to talk about is it's a great example of how pervasive, how expansive and robust one bloodline can be in various aspects of human society. Okay, because right now we're talking about chemical infiltration into society via different means, right? Textiles, cookware, different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already, like Christopher pointed out, affected cities, countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cities, states, nations, all the way to whole countries across the planet.
Yeah.
But that's just alchemical.
Yeah.
All right. There's a whole other seemingly unrelated aspect to the DuPonts, which is like the education component.
Yeah. This one I think is super crazy. So to appreciate this, we have to look at the patriarch of the DuPont Illuminati family. Because the way this works is like they're pre-Adamaic bloodlines of iniquity. So all of the sin and iniquity, it rests in the bloodlines, but then they kind of wait as sleeper cells, right? To be called out. So that's what happened with Pierre DuPont. He was called out just before the French Revolution. So I think at like 14 years old, a family had to take him in and protect him because Pierre DuPont is a Frenchman, or I guess French boy if he's only 14. But the occultism and the satanic saturation around this dude, the daughter of the family that brought him in, her name was Madame Germaine Stahl. She tried to usher in the Antichrist through sex magic with a guy named Henry de Saint Simon.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the ones watching over this Pierre DuPont guy when he was 14 years old. So he grows up, he gets genius level. Like he's writing about political issues and things like that before he's even 20 years old.
Mm.
So he ends up so influential, he sets up education in a couple different countries. I think France was one of them. And he really had his hand on crafting a type of compulsory education. So Thomas Jefferson was like, hey, that, government forced education is something that we want to have over here in America. Hey, DuPont, why don't you come over here and kind of assess the situation, take the temperature of education in the U.S. and let me know what we have to do to institute a compulsory education.
No, you just said Thomas Jefferson, but that ain't our Tommy J.
Oh yeah,
that ain't the dude that's got the memorial down there in Washington D.C.
Same one.
That's not the guy that rewrote the Bible and had his own version where he took out everything that he thought was way too supernatural relating to the identity of Jesus Christ being the only begotten Son of God. Like, not him, right?
Yeah, same dude.
It wasn't a dude that was also instrumental in, ushering in all pagan gods to be dedicated to the U.S. Capitol building and then recording that in a document that's preserved in the U.S. Hall of Library of Congress.
I didn't know that one. That was interesting.
Wait. It's not that dude, right? Like, this called the most approved plan. It's not that Tommy J. Another one.
That Tommy J. Yeah. But no, that's a great point because a lot of people are like, no, he believed in the Bible. There's even a Thomas Jefferson Bible. Yeah, but he took out all the supernatural events surrounding Jesus because he thought it was rubbish. Hated the book of Revelation. Like, his Bible was not a Bible that anyone should be reading for doctrine.
I mean, if I was going to edit the Bible, there's different things I would take out. Like, that's not the point I would focus on.
Right.
That whole wait till you're married part. Editorial framework.
You don't need that. You don't need
that. We go ahead and wipe that one out right there. What you mean one wife? You meant 11. That's what you meant, Lord.
Yeah.
You forgot the zero. You meant 10 wives.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm an AI the whole section. When I get to Bathsheba, it's going to get wild.
Oh,
yeah. Thomas Jefferson is a crooked dude through and through.
Yeah.
Like even beside the DuPont, like he had connections with other bloodline families. John Jacob Astor I from the Astor Illuminati family. During the War of 1812, no one was allowed to ship goods. Like there's a moratorium on shipping except for one dude. By specific presidential decree, John Jacob Astor of the Astor Illuminati bloodline was able to ship fur during the War of 1812. Like, it's crazy.
It reminds me of 2020 where only Walmart was able to stay open and Target and everybody else had to shut down.
Exactly. Yeah, same type of thing. So
Right. Sucks to suck,
exactly
bro.
the same.
Right.
We just got connections. That's all it is. Nothing to see
That's
here.
all it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got grandfathered in. That's all it is.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, in trying to set up compulsory education, Thomas Jefferson invites Pierre DuPont, patriarch of the DuPont Illuminati family, comes over here and he assesses education. And after doing some research and going to different places, Pierre DuPont saw that out of every 1,000 persons, fewer than 4 couldn't read or do numbers. And DuPont attributed this to dinner table debates over passages read in the Bible. So it was common to be taught Greek and Latin because of biblical debates and really looking at source material for scripture. And you would have these debates over the dinner table. Out of every 1,000 persons, fewer than 4. That's a fraction of a percent.
Right. That's not even 1%.
Right. Not even 1%.
That is a super high literacy rate.
Right. Due to reading the Bible and arguing with your family around dinner. That's crazy.
You know,
Like, we
funny?
can't-
No,
so we can't
you
have
lie.
that.
Okay. It was due to microwave dinners and watching stuff on your phone and playing on your iPad. This is
just
what
about to
helped
say that.
create
Yeah.
this high degree of literacy.
You know what would be crazy to see how many of the fabrics necessary for microwaves, microwave dinners, and cell phones were created by the DuPonts to
Don't
get you away
ruin
from
that.
the dinner table.
Right. Don't ruin that for me, Christopher.
But just before this show, I did a little bit of research, and today, with about 75
A
years,
little bit.
Oh, yeah,
A
75
lot
years
of research.
of compulsory education. We went from a amazing 0.4% illiteracy rate in the 1800s to now that prayer and the Bible is taken out of schools. We are now up to 21% of Americans that struggle with basic reading skills. That's a big jump. That's a big jump.
Who would have thought?
Almost by design.
100%
Exactly.
by design. 100%.
Well, who would have thought that by having the word of the Almighty, the Creator God, at your dinner table, feeding your mind as you feed your body, that would require prerequisites such as reading skills? Right? Who would have thought that? So we take God out of the schools and out of the dinner table and all of that. There's no way it's going to affect anything else except for just religious expression. That's it. That's all we're focusing on. Nothing else to see here.
Well, you forcing me to pray to a God I don't believe in. Yeah, I know. And it gets very emotional instead of logical. I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
People do that, but they don't see the other part, right? There's always 1% that you focus on. There's 99% that you're not.
It gives a reason why for fathers not to walk out. It gives a reason. And guys, this is not a political podcast. I swear. I look, I know I was supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it. I know. It was by design. The system makes money off people in jail, fathers leaving their families, mothers having to work, daycares, and kids growing up without their parents, nuclear families. And then they grow up to be doing the same thing, getting pregnant, and then by multiple different dads. You don't have a reason why to stay with the family. You don't have a reason why to get married in a traditional sense. No reason why to stay in case you fall out of love, etc. and etc. It's just a chain reaction. DuPont. Break everything.
Yeah. And I do mean everything. Like, so they started in gunpowder, right? And then they get into Teflon. Then they join up with the Rockefellers, and they get into pharmaceuticals. Hugely, it's crazy. We did a timeline. It might be over on our Patreon. I can't remember where it is. Maybe just in the DuPont episode. We did a timeline of like company acquisitions of DuPont and all of the stuff that they bought and how they diversified and joined up with other companies. And it is wild, all of the stuff that they touch.
Yeah, it's over on Patreon.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, actually, I was about to say that right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're slightly over half portion of the show, and I want to dedicate the show to the next listener of the week. Escape the Matrix Before 22. Jeff Miller, $34.99 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining the frequencies over at the Trebles Show on YouTube. Mad love and respect. And anybody that's already engaged, and you've made it this far into the show, if you guys are interested, dude, there's 13 other families that these guys broke down to this level. This is just the training wheels with it, bro. Just imagine the amount of catalog of information, the menu they have to offer over at their Patreon and over at their freaking podcast. Make sure you check them out, the description of the show, and let's continue. Oh yeah, what else did they put their finger in, bro?
Okay, so we don't have time to get into the nuts and bolts of this, but I think it's absolutely fascinating. Gene editing. So the DuPonts, so they're buying up all this stuff, right? They're making all of the neoprene and the fabrics and the textiles and the condoms, and then they get into medicine, and then they're like, hey, well, let's get into food, right? Let's get into food. So they buy this company called Danisco. You might have heard it. They make yogurt.
Like Dan and yogurt at the store. Yeah, and the only reason I know that's because my mother used to eat Dan and yogurt all the time. That was her go-to. Now it's Yoplait. But yeah, they're very, very well-known yogurt manufacturer.
So something that a lot of people don't know is when you're making yogurt, you have these bacterial cultures that turn the milk into cream, turn it into yogurt, and that's what you need. But bacteria in these cultures, because they're in these strange, sterile environments, they're very susceptible to viral infection, and it can wipe out whole crops or batches of yogurt. So they were trying to figure out, hey, how do we protect the bacteria? Well, it's super interesting. A bacteria's natural defense mechanism is CRISPR-Cas9. And we don't have time to get into all of the nuts and bolts of it. But it's CRISPR-Cas9 is the defense mechanism, like natural defense mechanism of bacteria. So they go, oh, well, we can like beef this up. You know, kind of like how they say if you introduce like
CRISPR, what? I'm sorry?
CRISPR, CRISPR. It's for clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats.
CRISPR 369, you said?
And you fine. Suck it to me, baby. Just one more.
One more
That
time,
wasn't
get
it,
low. Get
That
low.
wasn't it.
But
CRISPR, wait, I got to do it.
CRISPR-Cas9.
Cas9, yes. Capital C-A-S, number 9. Cas9.
Sir,
They work
you open
hand in
the door
hand.
right there.
So Denisco figured out that, hey, we can manipulate this to better defend the bacteria in these cultures. So right around the time this happened, DuPont's like, hey, we should try our hand at yogurt manufacturing. You know, just randomly, you know. So DuPont does that, and they go, oh, wait, did you know that you can also use this CRISPR technology outside of bacteria? You can use it in any DNA structure. Because the way that it kind of works is it zeroes in on a specific grouping of DNA and severs it. This is one of the most precise ways that we do gene editing now, is through CRISPR-Cas9 technology. And that was brought to the market by the DuPonts.
The practice runs by the DuPonts. And then everybody just took off with it. Wow.
Yeah. And then one more thing that I have, just because I think it's crazy, because this took me forever to find.
Just before that, because that's going to be the ending portion of the show.
Okay.
CRISPR-Cas9, a powerful gene editing tool that uses guide RNA and Cas9 protein precisely cut to precisely cut and modify DNA. Adapted from bacteria immune system, it allows scientists to delete, add, or alter genes to study genetic diseases, modify crops, and develop new therapies.
There you have it.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to make a correction. Danesco doesn't make actual Dannon yogurt.
Oh, it's not the same?
It's a different company. No, I was misspoken.
Okay.
I remember Dannon from like the children yogurt stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Me
little
too.
animals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But Danisco does make yogurt.
They
That's
do.
still. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's what I thought. But yeah. So this other thing that the DuPonts did that kind of touches everyone in America, it really took me a while to figure out, because on all these articles, when I started looking up the U.S. highway system, the DuPonts were never referenced. I was like, maybe this was a blip. Maybe I'm just misremembering. The DuPonts have their hand in everything else. Maybe this isn't really a thing. Doing a little bit more research, and come to find out, Francis V. DuPont was a key figure in helping construct the U.S. highway system. He was an advocate for the interstate highway system and worked alongside President Dwight D. Eisenhower and other officials. So it was before any of the official names, like, I don't know, can you remember what they are, Jason? Like Secretary of Road Services? I don't know what it is.
Like Secretary of Transportation.
There you go.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Is that the one you mean?
That's the one that I meant.
Secretary of Road Services.
Hey, that penguin
Bike
right
overhauls.
off
pit marks. Yeah, you know what? I had my Dan and yogurt one, so this is yours. It's good.
Right.
We're human,
We're human,
right?
yeah.
Right. I ain't gonna throw you under the bus.
But yeah, so he filled that position before it was officially Secretary of Transportation. And he literally was in that position and wrote up the entire blueprints for how to set up the U.S. highway system, and then quits his job. So everyone else gets credit for it. But Francis V. DuPont was the one that wrote the book on the U.S. highway system that we have in operation today.
Question. When you mean highway system, do you mean the elements they use to build the highway system?
What
like
do you mean elements?
Like the black tar, the cement, the type of concrete?
No, I
mixture.
mean the actual structure. Like what is it, typically odd numbers that run north and south, even numbers that run east to west. The fact that you have an outer belt, that you have like our actual highway system. Because prior
the lane
to
widths, all of that type of stuff, the basic structure. Like, it's a small document that was written up. It's not really that extensive, but it was absolutely groundbreaking. The interconnectivity that it created across the country, and the ability to move goods, and some would argue people, not just in a free sense, right? There's a reason when you're stuck, they call it traffic. right? And it's also a reason when you go from one place to another and you don't want to, it's called trafficking. That being said, though, our system in the United States was one of the first ones at that level that was put in place. And then they've built on it globally, like China improved on it. And so the Chinese system is now in play. But it was a phenomenal thing that he wrote up and created. Super simple, very effective. And it really linked the country together in ways that we're experiencing still today.
Right, but then also damaged culture. Like anyone that's looked at like other roads, Route 66 is a huge one, like the Mother Road from Chicago to Santa Monica, and all of the businesses along that, all of the family operated, all of them
dividing
shut down.
Communities, right? Segregating communities, all sorts of stuff. It was used in a very effective way, not just to connect, but also to divide in very unique ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It changed the lifeblood of the country.
Yep. And again,
same thing with the railroads. I have a theory that the railroads, at least here in LA, I'm only speaking for here in LA, the urban areas and in the flats, the railroads they're placed in very particular areas. So in case of a doom case, like apocalypse scenario, zombie apocalypse, or whatever you want to call it, famine, whatever, or just your EBT stops working and then people start stealing freaking food, whatever happens, like if something like that happens, the people in the ghetto basically get stuck there. All they gotta do is just block those entrances of those cities, man, with those freaking railroads. I'm telling you, bro, they mapped it out. The whole vicinity is mapped out with all these train, and some of them out of our service, and they still have gates on them, and you can't trespass. I don't know, bro. It looks very conspiratorial. Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. And just to add to that, I haven't done that specific research, but the Rockefellers and the DuPonts, because the DuPonts absorbed General Motors and Firestone, they all worked together, and they actually got charged for conspiracy to commit monopoly, and they were charged like $2 or something. But they were charged and found guilty of this because what they did is they overhauled the entire transportation system in the U.S. They were buying up trolley systems, and they were manipulated the whole thing to force everyone to use Rockefeller fuel in their systems. So that's why we don't see trolleys. That's why, instead of like steam powered engines, we've got the diesel trains. And so, yeah, all of it. It's when you look at how orchestrated every aspect of it is, like to the fuel that's in the devices and where they go, it makes perfect sense that they would place the tracks and put them in specific places to cause division, to allow for control, because it's what they're doing, and they were guilty of it.
Rothschilds did it with the education system too, right? Petroleum, with the lobbyist, and then he came and took over he funded the education system in the United States, and then bam,
the Rockefellers.
Was it Rockefellers?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Rockefellers did that. Yep.
Look at that.
Crazy. Yeah. It was all by the idea of this guy named George Peabody, who he's the one that kind of laid the foundation for, hey, if we can use these nonprofit organizations to really shape an entire country. And George Peabody didn't have any sons, so he took under his wing this guy named Junius Morgan, who was John Pierpont Morgan's, J.P. Morgan's father. So it is a small group of people that all sharing the same ideas, going, hey, we can literally make the country what we want it to be.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this whole tax-free, the nonprofit organization, that was the brainchild of Peabody.
Yeah, if you look it up, you should be able to Google it right now. The first 501c3 nonprofit corporation in the United States is the George Peabody Education Fund. So, yeah.
Something to consider, right? Because a lot of times we make the mistake of looking at our world right now and assuming it always was.
Right.
And the world we live in now is the byproduct of decisions that have been made. It's not just, we get this evolutionary idea that things just evolved randomly to where they are now without realizing that these are organized efforts, right? These are direct goals that are implemented in society to produce a very well-defined solution in effect.
Right.
It's not accidental. Like you take over a transportation system, that system was created first by power brokers. So it is a system then that they can manipulate. Doesn't mean they always do, but they can. So then when you start finding evidence of a system being manipulated, you can't turn your back to it and be like, well, that's just conspiratorial. No, that's what happens when you have real power. That's what you can do.
Do you know why we can't manipulate or rebuild the pyramids? I think I broke it. I think I just broke it right now. Because they didn't, the modern philosophers and philanthropists and the people that have structured our life, they stopped paying attention to how to build a freaking pyramid. They started building these types of pyramids. And when I asked you the elements of the highways, it was because I hit a milestone, I want to say. I want to do a deep dive on concrete. Yes, bro. Rock, stone, biblical, bro. This is biblical. How they're using possibly concrete to listen to your conversations. And that's at the basic level. Manipulate energy, rock, stone, bro, at every level. And then the black tar that they use on our roads, on our terrain. It is crazy. Collins, in that movie Collins, again, going back to the Collins from like the second episode that we did, you know how he wakes up, he just woke up and then he goes, oh, this is a interesting terrain, and he scratches the tar. I don't know if that's in a connection. I'm just overthinking. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, man, that's insane. Yo, do you have one more? Do you have another mic drop?
Yeah, actually, you were talking about, since we're on Rockefellers and everything, and the reason that we can't build pyramids, the reason we don't know how to go to the moon anymore. Rockefeller supposedly
we forgot. We lost the technology. Sure.
But John D. Rockefeller set up the University of Chicago, and then his right hand man was Frederick T. Gates. And Frederick T. Gates wrote a small pamphlet called The Country School of Tomorrow, where he outlined the goals of what the Rockefeller Educational Industrial Complex is supposed to do. Now, we know that John D. Rockefeller already said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers.
Right.
But Frederick T. Gates breaks it down, and he said in his pamphlet, he said, in our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. We are not to raise up from among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, teachers, politicians, statesmen, of whom we now have ample supply. The ignorance that we see going from the 0.4%, help me out, Jason. What's the word that we opened the episode with? It's hysterical that I can't remember this word.
So about illiteracy?
Illiteracy.
That word?
From the 0.4% illiteracy rate in the 1800s to 21% today. This has been orchestrated, and they told us the whole time what they were doing.
This is part of the satanic control matrix.
Yes.
Shut the front door.
Yep.
Yeah. This is just a small component.
And then real quick, just to close the door, because I know we're over time, but Trebles, I know that you want to not just look at the dark and kind of, land on Jesus.
I do have a question for you guys on the way out too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this, we thought for the longest time that the satanic control matrix was just this way that the enemy decided that they were going to come at us, right? More research shows this is actually in response to Jesus Christ. He set forth a tri-frontal war from Golgotha, from the cross. The first sector of the satanic control matrix is individual control, and Jesus offers salvation to any individual who believes in their heart and confesses with their mouth that Jesus is Lord. So what do they have to do? They have to dumb us down, make us too stupid, make us not be able to read, make us not be able to trust, not be able to think, because if we can do those things, then we can realize that Jesus is truth and we can be saved.
Ooh, that was a
one.
Mic drop.
Sector 2 of the satanic control matrix is how to control whole societies. That's because Christ instituted the church, not the 501c3 corporation that we talked about that Peabody told us to do, but the actual church, the true social structure of Christ followers. He set that up. said, go forth to all the nations. So it permeates the boundaries of all the nations and all the languages. It is a social change agent. The church is powerful. So what does the satanic control matrix have to do? They have to change the way we think, the net industrial complex, news, entertainment, and technologies. That's what they have to use against the church. And then finally, Jesus said, I'm going to come back. And when I come back, I'm going to rule this whole place. It's all going to be mine. So what does the satanic control matrix have to do to try to prevent that? It's a race to the throne. We got to get there first. Start calling all the buddies, all the families, the Astors, the Bundys, the Collins, the DuPonts, the Freemans. Just go down the list, get them on the line. We got to set this up because we have to have the New World Order. We got to get the Antichrist in place because this other dude is coming back in a hurry. So yeah, Jesus really is the answer. We are equipped. We are powerful to push back against all of this stuff. We just have to know what we're doing and trust Jesus.
Jason Spears.
Yeah.
I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
First of all, Jesus is king. You have to profess, provide, protect, and you have to say it with your mouth. You have to believe it with your heart. A tweaker's telling you that. I am just like you guys. The people watching this, I'm just like you. What is your favorite emotion, Jason Spears?
My favorite emotion? That's a trick question.
It got you by the boo, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
We need one of those zooms right now.
Right.
Right. I would say my favorite emotion is probably happiness.
Yeah. I love it. Have you weaponized it? Has it changed your life?
No, because I know I have had to learn how not to flow, and my flesh is, if that's even the right way to say that, favorite emotion. And there is a difference between the two. My fallen nature, the favorite emotion of my flesh would be anger. And that has been a weapon that I've had to learn how not to wield against myself or others. But my favorite emotion probably of my soul would be happiness. Maybe second to peace. And peace is one of those things that I don't think you appreciate until you have the absence of it. It's almost like water, right? There's that old saying, you don't miss your water until your well runs dry, right? You don't really value how much peace is such a necessary part of life until you're living in sheer chaos. Yeah. Right. And I think that it's so interesting that those two, I know you asked me my favorite one and I've already listed 3. So maybe I have a problem in actually, following instructions, but I think it's so interesting that at least those 2 positive emotions, if you will, love and peace, are core aspects of descriptors of Jesus Christ. Right? He's coming, he's known as the Prince of Peace. He is the embodiment of love. If he's the creator of our souls, then the necessity for that is baked into our entire design structure. When you ask people what one of the fundamental questions they have, it's, am I worthy of love? Can I be loved? Will anybody love me? Right? If you look at what we struggle with, it's one thing to ask, will anybody else love me? So many things are being geared towards making sure you don't love yourself. Right? And then in the gap, we put products, not we, the satanic control matrix gives us products, things that it can monetize and weaponize against us to answer that question. People will love you more if you buy this. They'll love you if you ride in that. They'll love you if you smell like this. They'll love you if you floss and eating that. All of that pointed towards our worth, our value. This creates an enormous amount of chaos. I believe it was Savantain Zevi, who in 1666 founded a particular version of the Kabbalistic arts in which his brand, in order to bring back the what we would call the Antichrist, right? Their Messiah. There were 2 different lines or courses of action by which they could be undertaken. One was to produce maximum amount of righteous living, right? And that didn't seem plausible. The other way was to produce maximum amount of decadence and chaos. It's interesting that at the core of the lifestyle that you could say the West, but really mankind as a whole, the lifestyle that is absent of the creator God, at its core, it produces chaos, which is interesting then that when he shows up, he's called the Prince of Peace. You were talking a moment ago in one of the quick commercial breaks that you did about frequency, right? This whole vibration energy that we live within, the electromagnetic radiation field, the full spectrum, it's all about vibration, but that vibration is bounded and limited. When it gets out of bounds, it creates chaos. You know, what's really fascinating to me is that there are two different types of nuclear reactions. All right. There's one that's called fission, which is about fusing atoms together. This is what I believe happens in the sun. All right. You get helium, you get hydrogen, all of that is fused together. It makes other elements, but it also gives way to life. There's another way to produce nuclear energy, and that's through splitting. Right? When you split the atom or nuclear, what is that? Nuclear fission?
Fission is division. Fusion is
bringing
fusion.
together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The other one, the dividing of the atom, produces death, chaos, destruction. Right? All of the vibrations that go out from splitting that atom completely shatter the nuclear bonds of adjacent atoms to create the type of chaos that life can't situate itself in. I think it's fascinating that the absence of chaos is a critical component of what the creator of our soul offers and brings, which is peace, which is balance, which is proper alignment, right? There's a reason that he doesn't like sin in our life. It's not about being a holy goody two-shoes. It's about eliminating the chaos that comes with the destructive nature that the enemy offers. Like, that's all it really is. Creating the chaos, creating destruction, right? Which is the exact opposite of what the Prince of Peace brings. The exact opposite. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me how much of this satanic control matrix is oriented directly at attacking the Godhead, at attacking what the Father set up, what the Son sustains, what the Holy Spirit continues to help sanctify and restore because of the chaos of sin and disobedience that the enemy brought into creation. And then Adam, through his disobedience, opened the door for it to seep into our experiential plane, right? And now we're under the curse of sin and death, but really it's chaos. All of this is even written down into the laws of thermodynamics, right? Second law of thermodynamics even shows that we have chaos as a law that we live under because of what we call entropy. You set things up in order, leave it alone, it will fall into disarray and disorder, right? Our whole created order now is pointed towards destruction and chaos, which is why we need the Savior of our soul to establish the order, to establish the God-given way. This is how this was designed to function. This is how you were designed to be. This is how you were designed to interact with your fellow man. This is the life I designed for you. You're not the byproduct of random experiences. You are a special, individual, unique creature that is so uniquely important that there is an entire satanic control matrix geared towards destroying you after they rape and pillage everything about you that's unique and weaponize it against you. That piece is fundamentally important.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was what you were looking for. That was an episode on itself. Mr. Dean, what's your favorite emotion?
I hadn't really thought about it before until you asked, and the first one that comes to mind would be joy. Leaning hard on biblical foundation for, these things are eternal, faith, hope. Oh, is it? It's faith, hope, and love. Joy isn't in there. So yeah, misquoting scripture and completely confusing my argument.
That's one of my favorite emotional experiences.
No, I would still say joy though, because it would be akin to happiness, but the way that we try to parse that out is that happiness is just the result of like your circumstances, but joy is a choice. Joy is something you choose. It's a framework that you adopt, and I like experiencing joy, but I also like the empowerment of being able to choose. Like a lot of people will ask me, how the day's going, or you ask them and they're like, I don't know. I don't know yet. And I'm like, I'm not going to wait for the day to tell me how it's going to be. I'm going to tell the day how it's going to be. I'm going to choose.
Remember how we did it? I said in the beginning, we got to stop living in a consumption-based consciousness, and we got to stop creating life instead of consuming life. It's beautiful, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is Operation Red Pill. These guys are phenomenal. Amazing work. You guys kick ass in every single aspect in podcasting. I am blessed to call you my friends, to have you on the show, and the listeners are blessed because they could also check out your Patreon, not only their podcast. There's many different outlets for your content. The description of the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do not forget to check out Operation Red Pill. The description again is on the show notes today. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace.